Welcome to Tansson TV Plus. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mom.
Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yep, thank you for joining with us again.
We always love doing this. And Mom, how's your day going thus far?
Brandon, my day's going just fine. How about you?
All was well here.
That sounds good. Sounds good. Are you ready to talk about S.H.I.E.L.D. again, Brandon?
Yes, I sure am.
All righty, Brandon. We are talking about episode 10, which is called The Bridge.
Yes, this episode released December 10th of 2013.
All righty. And then I'll just give a brief synopsis, if that's okay, Brandon?
Yep, all good.
All righty. And so when we think about this particular episode, we have to reflect back a little bit. Up until this point, we've had a lot of threads that have kind of blended things together in the episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D., but not an episode to bring it all together in one piece. And so in episode 10, what we've done is, or what they've done, is that they have actually taken all of these episodes and kind of brought them to a head for, I guess, a mid-season finale. Is that the best way to say it, Brandon?
Yeah, I definitely say that our fall finale.
A fall finale. And so we are, what they're doing in this particular episode, they go back and they actually tackle the character of Raina. And we also tackle the character of Mike Peterson. Mike Peterson was introduced into the first episode, and he was, I guess, labeled as Centipede. And so he had some extra power and strength. And so he didn't quite know what to do with this extra power and strength when it was given to him. Um, and then we were introduced to Raina in episode 5, I believe. And Raina was actually one of the characters who actually was, I don't want to say in charge, but she helped guide along the injecting of the superhuman strength into several different people. And so, in the one that we saw, it was the person who played with fire, or that's the best way I could say it. Anyway, and so we are once more introduced to Raina, and Raina plays a pivotal role in this particular episode. This episode begins with a prison break in which we have 3 or 4 men who just kind of drop into a prison and basically take over. And so while doing that, there's one man, one older gentleman who's off to the side, and he's not bothered by any of it. Well, he eventually leaves the prison and during this break, and he is the person who's been working with Raina. And so, in order to kind of help solve this case, they actually bring back Mike Peterson, who was the original Centipede gentleman. Um, and so, S.H.I.E.L.D. decides to use Mike Peterson to help understand why the prison break occurred. And so, we find out that Mike Peterson has been working for S.H.I.E.L.D. And so, he's more than happy to help the group. Apparently, Raina actually is the one who kind of who introduced the serum into his body, and so he understands a little bit about her, and she, and of course, understands about him. And so, in the midst of all of this, we find out that Mike's son has been kidnapped and or being held hostage by Raina. And so the Shield group must go in order to help Mike get his child back. And so in the process of doing that, they are all meet together. And Coulson and Mike both go to meet Raina and the prisoner. And then when they meet together, um, Coulson is used as leverage, and so Mike gets his son back. And in the process of getting his son back, they end up drugging Coulson. And then the bridge that they were on and the car that Coulson's in actually blows up. We're unsure about Mike and what happens to him, but in theory, it looks like Mike and Coulson and some of the people in the car where he was placed have blown up. And so that's the way it kind of ends. However, we're given a little extra scene at the end where we see that Coulson is fine and that Raina is with him. And the question that Raina has is she wants to know about Coulson and what happened to him after he died, the day after he died in Tahiti. And so I kind of rambled a little bit, but that is the episode in a nutshell.
Well, Mom, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, Brandon.
And overall, what did you think about this episode?
I thought they did a nice job with this episode. I mean, you and I have talked about how they have had so many different storylines going on, and so we were waiting to see the connection. Although we were beginning to see some of the connections as they were kind of laying the groundwork, it was nice to see all the connections come together.
Yeah, it really was. And what were your thoughts about the two major people, per se, returning, being Mike Peterson and Reyna? Were those two the people that you were expecting to return?
I knew Mike would show up at some point in time. I didn't know when. So I was really kind of surprised to see him. Raina, I was not surprised. I knew that she was going to show up again. They kind of led us there when she actually had her own episode. And so I knew that Raina would show up again. It was really Mike who kind of surprised me of the when he showed up.
Yeah, I definitely thought that they did a good job wrapping things up. And this episode introduced something that I had always thought was always a part of the show, which was the beginning of the episode, a little recap of previously on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and I honestly had not paid attention to the fact that there were not recaps in the other episodes. But I guess if you think about it, it was not needed because all those episodes were kind of, they, for the most part, could stand alone.
Yeah, they definitely were, and based off of this episode, like, how do you perceive, I guess, the rest of the series or the next episode? Because I do know that episode 5, the episode that introduced Reyna, sort of brought in some elements, but this one I think really doubled that, so to speak.
Yeah, it did double it. Um, I think your question was, how do I see this kind of moving forward? We've got to, of course, finish up with Colson. Apparently, something significant happened when he died and when he came back to life. And so we've got to now learn what that is or was. And then we also, and I didn't mention that Grant actually was shot or something like that. And so we've got Grant out there who's out there. So the question is, what will happen to Grant? I know he'll be fine, but how will the series move forward with Grant is if he's injured?
Yeah, that was something I definitely didn't see the first time around, and obviously the episode's titled "The Bridge" because that's where all uh, the commotion happens, so to speak, at the end of the episode.
Yeah, and so you saw that, and I thought of it just being symbolic, and the fact that this is bridging all the episodes together.
Well, certainly a two-way meaning.
Yes, yes.
But Mom, overall, like, I mean, we were discussing this a little bit, and how I feel that for these network television breaks, especially for a fall finale, that you have to do something to reel people in. And so at this point, when the show's airing, the show had taken uh, a week between the episode we discussed last time and this one, and then from this one, people have to wait a month until uh, the next episode. And do you think this served its purpose of being a fall finale?
I think it did serve its purpose of being a fall finale. You know, we are used to watching these fall finales and then having to wait a month or two, and sometimes 6 months before we are actually able to see the end. So yeah, it did serve its purpose.
Yeah, and definitely to let you know. So after uh, the next episode, and after that, it took another gap in there. So certainly, the show was no stranger to having gaps in there. But there is one thing I forgot to mention last time.
And what is that?
So in the last week episode titled "Repairs," that was actually the second most watched episode of the series for all time.
Oh wow, that's kind of shocking.
Yeah, I definitely was shocked by that too. I don't know if something important aired right in front of it. I have no reason as to why that was the second most viewed episode, but I thought it was an interesting tidbit when going through the research.
Yeah, that is an interesting tidbit.
Well, Mom, is there anything else that you want to say before we go ahead and end out this episode?
No, I thought, like you said, I like the way they kind of brought all of it together. After, of course, when you watched this the first time, the other Marvel shows were not on, the ones that are on Netflix. And so because we've watched that, I'm kind of used to now how they kind of put some of this together. And so the fact that they kind of brought everything together in this one episode does not surprise me at all. I really can't wait to see the outcome. And so I'm more interested in the personal side. We have mentioned once more about Sky and her parents, and so that was brought up again. And then I'd also like to see what actually happens to Mike. Hopefully, he's still around, and then how he can bridge a little bit more of the series together. Um, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Well, that sounds good. I'm excited for us to hit episode 11.
Yep, same here, Brandon. So we thank everybody for watching. Let us know if you enjoyed this episode too.
Yeah, definitely let us know, and we'll see you in the next zone.
All right, have a great day, everybody.